Yes, welcome back. And like we said at the beginning, World Economic Forum Africa is right at our doorstep. It's happening here in Nigeria from the 7th to the 9th. And Channels Television is delighted. May. Oh, sorry. Did I say March?
No, you didn't say anything. You just said between the 7th
and 9th of May.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adero. I can always rely on you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So it's from the 7th to the 9th of May 2014, and it's taking place in Abuja, right at our doorstep, and Channels Television is the host broadcaster. We're very proud to be associated with this. And the theme, the focus for World Economic Forum Africa this year is inclusive growth and job creation, which is extremely critical to the entire continent, Africa. We'll discuss this extensively till the end of the show this morning. We'll go on all the way till 12. And joining us in this conversation on World Economic Forum Africa, we've got in the studio on my left-hand side, Mr. Chudi Ubosi, who's of Ubosi Ele & Co. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much.
And then on the right-hand side, I've got two gentlemen. Sitting just right next to me here is Jide Oke of James Partnerships.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome. And next to him is Yinka Adesope of Property Links.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Yeah.
And now, yes, you at home are correct. I mean, you've heard the guests that we have in the studio. Yes, we're looking at construction and real estate and how all that can be of benefit regarding the World Economic Forum. What that aspect of the World Economic Forum.
Yes.
How business can come to Nigeria in that particular sector.
Yeah.
Let's start with you, Mr. Obosi. When you look at the fact that we're talking inclusive growth and job creation, quite a lot of people have said we need to spend or invest money in infrastructure development, construction, building of houses, because these are areas of the economy that normally employ much more than the service industry could ever employ.
That's right.
What is your thought, and what have we done so far in this area?
Okay. Yes, when we talk about the construction industry and creating jobs, it's actually one of the major policy areas which governments use to inflate the system, to put money into the system, into the economies where they operate. And this, I'm talking governments at all levels, at the state, the federal, and the local government levels. Now, what happens is that construction, when you put money in construction, you are spending money that is going to come down to the lowest people in the economy. When we talk about construction, you pay a contractor, he employs people. The people he employs have families. The money gets to them. They demand goods and services. Construction, you need to put money in a bank. You need to take a loan to finance your construction. If you were building property, someone would demand a mortgage to buy that property. The painters, the woodwork people who sell nails, sand, cement, it's the whole gamut. In fact, what that shows, what construction does to the economy is that it actually highlights the interdependency of all the sectors of the economy when it comes to job creation.
Okay, let me ask you, then, in terms of infrastructure and property development in Nigeria, and possibly across the continent of Africa, how well have we done, and why haven't we done much better? Is it because we're not putting money into construction, infrastructure development, that we have the level of unemployment that we've got?
Let's start from the housing deficit. Let me take it from there. We have between 16 and 17 million housing deficit, which is a huge one. Sometimes we look at it from the point of it's because of infrastructure. Really, it's because of infrastructure. Because if we look at Dubai, why is real estate and construction contributing so much into the GDP? In other developed economies of the world, you have construction contributing between 30% and 70% to the GDP. But in Nigeria, it's actually below 1% that real estate is contributing. I go back to regulations. To register a property in Nigeria, maybe you need about 16% of the value of the property to register. In Dubai, it's a bit less than 1%.
What do you spend money on when you want to register?
You start from stamp duties and so many other things, so many other associated fees to pay to the government. So to an appreciable extent, this limits what the developers can do. You want to come to infrastructure, the private sector could have helped in the area of infrastructure. You're taking up a massive project somewhere, you can actually construct, you can actually link the road to your project. But then by the time you look at the cost of the project, you look at what you have to pay and how much you have to spend at the end of the day, then you are not doing so much. You can't really help the government to provide the infrastructure. But I would say we have not been doing fine. For construction and real estate, the employment, what construction and real estate is giving in employment is less than 0.5%, still less than 1%. The kind of employment. And the only sector that can encourage inclusive growth is real estate. Just like my brother said the other time.
Okay, Mr. Okay. Yeah. Up until now, how much foreign investment has come into that sector? Has any come in at all?
Well, let's
or
say
is
that,
any coming in?
Let's say that the other gentlemen, they've actually been able to highlight some of the issues that one can be looking at as delimiting factors to growth in that sector. But in terms of FDI, I can tell you that yes, it's in trickles into Nigeria right now. There are other much more
to Nigeria in the area of
real estate. That's foreign direct investment to real estate. And the facts are there. The reason why we are having this kind of problem is because the environment, how enabling is the environment. And for anybody, any investor, to bring in his funds to any system, he must be guaranteed of return on investment, which is very critical. But that is a major factor that we're grappling with right now in Nigeria. And of course, my brother on my right talked about infrastructure. Infrastructure is key. Over the years before we were able to solve the problem of democracy and all that, we've had military regimes in the country. Of course, let's not even talk about those periods of time. But now that we are beginning to stabilize in terms of democratic rule and all that, there are still a lot of grants to be covered in terms of enabling policies that can attract foreign investment into our system.
But Mr. Okay, people always say that you can't go wrong with real estate.
You're just speaking my mind.
That's precisely the point. You can't go wrong. The government, myself and you, we have a duty. We have a role to play. Now we are talking about foreign investment. As I said earlier on, I will not bring in my investment into an environment where there is insecurity, for instance. If you are not going to go wrong, of course you will look at all the indices on ground. You will compare Nigeria with another country, maybe where you are sure of stability in terms of system. For instance, I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago. They were trying to do some projects in part of the north, and they were looking for contractors. You cannot believe it. To even be able to get a contractor who will go to that part of the country right now is a problem. And somebody has to do the job over there. So that, in a way, has his own problem. Now we're talking about infrastructure. Of course, everybody, even those who are in Nigeria, who are residents in Nigeria, they know what they are grappling with in terms of lack of infrastructure. The roads are bad, power is epileptic, so many other issues. These are things that we cannot take for granted. Something has to be done to reverse the trend. Foreign direct investment cannot just come in until we have this enabling environment in place. It is very key.
But then, that being said, Mr. Bossi, yes. I know for a fact that there are some Lebanese and people from that part of the world who are investing hugely in blocks of flats in Ikoyi specifically. Isn't that a sign that all these challenges he's talking about are things that can be surmounted? Because if they were not making their money back, they wouldn't be here. And I'm talking about Jews.
I don't think you should be that particular. But look, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Maybe we should clarify it a little more. No matter how bad a situation is, you will always find people who come in. Now, when we talk about Ikoyi and Victoria Island, and yes, those are the best parts of Nigeria. That's where all the embassies are. That's where the blue chip companies and all the CEOs live. The returns are much higher. Capital appreciation is much higher. And once you get your mix right in terms of what are you developing, is that what the market wants? Construction costs, sale price, rental values are reasonable. There's still business going on in Nigeria, despite all our challenges. I agree with what Mr. Oke said. There are challenges here, but business is still going on. This country remains a very attractive place. No matter what people say, it's still very attractive. And remember what it is about risk. The higher the risk, the higher the returns. If you take a chance and come in, you will get returns. So, yes, I don't want to use the word the Lebanese and the Jews. There are also a lot of Nigerians doing construction in Ikoyi and BI.
Of course.
They are doing it. There are takers. The critical thing is get your mix right in terms of what you're building. If you come up with something that is too expensive, the market can't take it, or your design, your layout is faulty, or your finishing is not good, then you have a problem. But once you get the mix right, more often than not, you're on.